Two big headlines out of the Supreme Court today, ones that hit close to home. What to do about sexual predators after they've served their legal sentences? And can you sentence a juvenile to life in prison if they haven't committed murder? Nightline anchor Terry Moran covers the courts for us, and he begins with the ruling on sexual predators.
They are among the most heartbreaking and terrifying of crimes.
Charged with the rape and murder.
Convicted sex offender John Albert Gardner raped and murdered two teenage girls in California after serving just 5 years in prison for the rape of a 13-year-old. How can society protect itself from such deviant and repeat criminals? Victims' advocates say today's Supreme Court decision will definitely help.
This is for the worst of the worst, and it's also for those offenders who are not just evil and criminally inclined, but are mentally defective.
The court's 7-2 decision today upheld a federal law allowing the federal government to continue to incarcerate sex offenders after they've served their sentences if they're deemed too dangerous to release. Justice Stephen Breyer declared the federal government is the custodian of its prisoners. As federal custodian, it has the constitutional power to act in order to protect nearby and other communities from the danger federal prisoners may pose. But it is state governments, not the feds, who incarcerate and release the vast majority of sex offenders. Only 20 states have laws that allow authorities to continue to lock up the most dangerous criminals after their sentences are served. One reason more don't do it? It's expensive, costing about $64,000 per year per inmate. Total nationwide cost, more than $200 million.
The vast majority of America's sex offenders are not in jails and prisons. They're in the community.
And so, Diane, while this decision is limited to what the federal government does, victims' advocates hope that the Supreme Court's decision today will spur more action in those 30 states that aren't incarcerating people after they've served their sentence.
Terry, take us inside that other decision about juveniles serving life in prison if they didn't commit murder.
It's a big case. What the Supreme Court decided was that it is unconstitutional to sentence a person to life with no chance of parole when they committed a crime that wasn't a murder when they were juveniles. They said it was cruel and unusual. Justice Kennedy put it very bluntly. He said, life without parole is an especially harsh punishment for a juvenile. And he said the law must change and recognize that teenagers essentially are capable of changing themselves.
And how many juveniles are we talking about?
Not many, about 129, 77 of them in Florida. So it is unusual, and the United States is the last country in the world to have this kind of sentence.
Terry Moran reporting on the Supreme Court tonight.